Hello, welcome to our POL assignment presentation. This assignment is a group-based assignment and we are 5 girls, 3 boys. This assignment requires us to write a proposal on one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by UN. Our selected goal is SDG 3, Good Health and Well-being. And the topic for our proposal is Impact of COVID-19 on Mental Health Well-being among Malaysian poor community. Without further ado, let's get started with our presentation. Let me introduce you to our team members. I am Muhammad Sobir bin Sharif, School of Social Science, Sarah Syafiqah binti Shahar, School of the Arts, Muhammad Hishamuddin bin Mokhtar, School of Management, Buta Rumana Nas, School of Social Science, Sanas Sulaimani, School of English Translation and Literacy, Balakrishnan son of Sadasivan, School of Distant Education, Chunan Chiang, School of Communication, Tien Wen Sia, School of Educational Studies. We are 5 girls, 3 boys.
The aspect of this research is the COVID-19 outbreak has affected the public's behavior and lifestyle, thus simultaneously impacted their mental well-being as a result. This study aims to perform a better understanding of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on Malaysian poor communities' mental health and self-esteem. Both qualitative and quantitative methods will be utilized in this research. Stratified sampling will be used as sampling method and the sample size will be limited to 100 poor community around Georgetown, Pulau Pinang. This study will compare the self-esteem and mental health of the poor community in Malaysia before and during the pandemic, in addition to provide suggestions on how to improve their mental well-being.
Now we are going to the background of study. According to the World Health Organization (WHO), it has declared pandemic due to COVID-19 since 2020 after the spreading of COVID-19 around the world. So, during COVID-19, the population psychological reaction played a critical role in shaping both spread of disease and emotion to the society. Because according to the study in China, that the anxiety has increased 25% and depression 28% during COVID-19. And that study showed that the COVID-19 can play a critical role in shaping both spread of the disease and emotion to the society. Therefore, the outbreak of the COVID-19 can give a bad consequences on global healthcare system and that can affect human life in every aspect, including mental issues. Therefore, Malaysia is one of the countries that face a mental issue, and poor community need to give an attention in order to prevent them from the infected by the COVID-19 and well-being to achieve third goal of SDG, which is good health and well-being by 2030.
Problem statement. The outbreak of COVID-19 made communities socially and economically weak. Poverty rate increased during COVID-19. People lost their job and houses. Low-income poor families adopted less healthy diets. Physical health and mental health are associated with one another. People suffered from severe depression due to economic and social conditions. Malaysian poor community also faced similar problems. This study wanted to explore psychological distress, low self-esteem, poor health conditions because of COVID-19 among poor Malaysian community. The perception of poor Malaysian community regarding their health condition will be examined by the researcher. Contributing factor for psychological distress and low self-esteem during COVID-19 need to be measured. Self-esteem of poor community will be compared before and after the situation of COVID-19 pandemic. This study also suggested that how to improve mental well-being of poor Malaysian community.
Objective of a study. 1. The impact of psychological distress of poor community in Malaysia during COVID era. 2. To examine the perception on health condition during COVID-19 of poor community in Malaysia. 3. To compare the low self-esteem of poor community in Malaysia before and after COVID-19 pandemic. 4. To examine the interaction among the changed lifestyle and mental health of poor community in Malaysia in endemic era. 5. To suggest how to improve mental well-being of poor community living in endemic era.
Next, we go to research methodology. The methodology approach are designed based on the main objectives of this research. The sample size is limited to 100 per community, including the residents of Kampong Aceh, orphans, old folk homes, and the homeless around Georgetown, Pulau Pinang. Both quantitative and qualitative methods will be used in this research. For sampling method, we use stratified sample method. For quantitative method, the data will be collected via DASS form, the Global Health Measure SF1, and the cross-sectional studies. And this data will be analyzed using IBM Statistic SPSS software, Google Form, Cronbach Alpha formula, and regression model. While for qualitative methods, the data will be collected via open questions air, face-to-face interview, and survey form using ethnograph strategy.
Now, here is the literature review. For the topic of mental health of poor community during COVID-19, Huyangda investigated that the mean scores of depression and anxiety in Malaysia were significantly lower than those in a sample in China. Whitehead, Taylor, and Barrow found that the mortality is much higher in elderly people, poor group, and ethnic minorities even before the COVID-19. Lockdown affected low-income families, especially with young children. The most commonly seen mental issues are depression, anxiety, post-traumatic distress symptoms, stress, psychological distress, and sleep problem found by Nu Zhanwu, etc. Now for the topic of lifestyle interaction and perception of poor community during COVID-19, Money Center found that the COVID-19 pandemic negatively affected women's psychological well-being. Women from lower socioeconomic background were most affected by COVID-19. POL500 Center found that COVID-19 impacted more disadvantaged groups. Lifestyle factors were also related with adverse COVID-19 outcomes. And for the topic of mental well-being improvement during COVID-19, Huyangda used SF1, a brief one item to measure the general health conditions of adults. Shamgam stated that the MCO period ended up contributing to a positive outcome in people's mental health condition due to the improved work-life balance and giving the well-deserved rest to workers.
That's all for now. Thanks for all the support and help from us, 5 girls, 3 boys. Goodbye.